Well, hello again folks. Hope you're all still keeping well out there, and welcome to another video. And if you have a bit of time after this one, check out my other channel, Nitro HV, for hunting content with shotgun, rimfire and centerfire. I think some people would agree this video is long overdue. I used to do a lot of rabbit stalking years ago, and I don't know why. I think the rabbit numbers started to dry up. Definitely the two best permissions I had, you'd hardly see a rabbit on it now. Plus, farmers started asking me to do more pest bird control rather than rabbiting, so I sort of got away from it a wee bit. But when the farmer of a piece of ground I've done a lot of hooded crow and fox control during the lambing time told me there was quite a bit of rabbits on his ground, I thought it'd be a good time to lift the HW97 out of the cabinet and get back into the rabbit stalking again. I wasn't too far down the laneway when I spotted a rabbit, but it was about 50-60 yards away, and since my HW97 is only running at about 12 to 13 foot-pounds in 177 caliber, I wasn't going to attempt that shot, so decided to stalk in a wee bit closer and see if I could pick it up again in the field. Now this isn't a very big piece of ground, and it's quite overgrown, as you'll see, with big clumps of rushes and nettles, but it does make it interesting when stalking rabbits. The rabbit that I had first seen had disappeared into the cover at some point, but I didn't have to go too far before I spotted another one. Unfortunately though, as I was trying to get myself into a better position for a clear shot, it also disappeared into the reeds. A week or two ago, the farmer had sheep on this ground, and you could have almost walked up to the rabbits, but now the sheep are taken off the ground, the rabbits seem to be very easily spooked. A little further along the field, and I spotted another rabbit in the distance, just over a rise, probably about 80 to 100 yards away. So decided to try and slowly stalk my way into it. Thankfully in the process I spotted a closer one about 50 yards away to my left. This time though, I used the reeds to my advantage, getting them between me and the rabbit to help block my approach. I managed to close the gap down to about 30 yards and decided to take the shot. That's the first one down, and a bit of a relief. as this is the first time I've taken the HW97 out after rabbits in a long time. I did practice with it on and off for a week or two before I came out, but as you'll see, my freehand standing shots still need a bit of work. The rabbit that I had spotted earlier was still there, so decided to try and stalk into it next. Again, I used the rushes to help cover my approach, then slipped out to the side of them to take the shot. Again, it was another 30 yards roughly, but with a few reeds in front of the rabbit. But it should be no problem, right? But I missed, and I got scoped a little. With the Tactacam on the back of the scope to get the footage, it brings it a wee bit closer to your eye, and in the prone position, it can sometimes come back under recoil and hit me in the eyebrow. Not very hard, but still not very pleasant, though it doesn't seem to affect me in the sitting or standing position. I did have a decent look for it, but couldn't find anything, so I must have missed it clean. Whether it was a bad shot on my part, or did one of the reeds deflect the pellet, I don't know. But during the search, I spotted another rabbit just disappear into the hedge about 15-20 yards in front of me. Then spotted the back end of another one in among the reeds to my left, only to quickly disappear as soon as I tried to stalk it. So, feeling a bit annoyed and sorry for myself, I trudged down the hill towards the rabbit I know I did shoot, only to spot another one, more or less exactly from where I'd just come from. This one was much easier to stalk into range, but instead of taking the shot in a prone position, I decided to turn myself round and use a sitting position. The rabbit was that busy feeding, it just wouldn't lift its head no matter how much I squeaked, so I had to move myself to the right a little to try and get into a better position. Don't worry, that's just cover scent. It's bad enough when the rabbits undermine hedgerows, but when they start digging holes in the middle of the field, they start wearing out their welcome. On my way back to get the game bag, I took my time coming out over that first rise. You never know. And sure enough, there was another rabbit, in the reeds right where I started from. So I ducked behind a big patch of nettles and tried to make my way round into a sensible shooting distance. "35 yards, but I'm not going to get any closer." So I worked my way into a sitting position again. I'd almost made it back to the shooting bag when, yet again, I spotted another rabbit just outside a big clump of thistles. Using the nettles again, I managed to stalk in a bit closer. 40 yards, a bit further than I'd like, but after that last shot, I was feeling fairly confident. Although this rifle doesn't have a magazine, I do carry the pellets in a pellet holder that I made myself from a rubber welting boot around my neck. Though this one's a bit beat up by the looks of it, so I might have to make another one. Though I do have a how-do video on how I did this from years ago on my channel somewhere. With my game bag finally retrieved, I set about picking up the rabbits I'd shot, sorta in reverse order though. But don't switch off yet, as there's still a bit more shooting to do once I manage to pick up all these rabbits, that is. Looks like a big old doe, healthy enough though. So yes, I know you've been waiting for this for quite a while. I picked it up and give its belly a squeeze to help empty its bladder before putting it into the game bag. A little low, but certainly fatal. Ah, this one looks like a buck rabbit. And yes again, I'll give its bladder a wee squeeze before putting it into the game bag. Well, to be honest, it's really more of a rucksack, an army surplus rucksack. I think it's French origin, so I'm not sure. But I have a waterproof rucksack liner inside it that I put the rabbits in. I can carry it on both shoulders when it gets heavy enough with rabbits, and it's got more room for my tripod and camera in it, though I'm not sure if I like it more than the original game bag I used to walk around with. Looks like another healthy doe rabbit. The last one to find was the first rabbit I'd shot, and I was having a bit of trouble until I finally located it and realised why. It was tiny. I didn't realise in the scope how small it actually was. But they're usually the tasty ones. With that one bagged up, I headed towards the next field, hoping that I might get another rabbit or two before the light finally failed. And it wasn't long before I did spot another rabbit. It was probably only 30 yards away, but since I was standing about knee high in thistles, I didn't feel like getting into a sitting position for the shot. And with a big heavy bag of rabbits on my shoulder, I didn't really feel confident taking a freestanding shot. In the process of setting down the game bag, the rabbit decided to scarper, so I decided to leave it there and continue on quietly without it. Thankfully I didn't get too far before I spotted another one. But it looks like I'm going to have to get down on my hands and knees again to get within range. Using the reeds as cover again, I managed to crawl within about 25 to 30 yards away, and with my confidence renewed again, I again went for a prone shot. The rabbit seemed to jump to the left hand side with the shot, which was a wee bit concerning, so I quickly reloaded, or as quickly as you can reload a spring powered air rifle, and headed forward just to make sure I hadn't wounded it. Thankfully when I got there it was all over and the rabbit was dead. It was a youngish rabbit and the pellet had hit it in front of the eye instead of behind it, but it still thankfully proved fatal. So I picked it up and headed back towards my game bag. The next rabbit that I spotted was the other side of a fairly overgrown hedge. So I dropped the game bag and got as close to the hedge as I could. The rabbit was about 25 yards away, and with the hedge there, the only opportunity I would have is with a freehand standing shot.
I missed.
Yep, I think I just missed round the back of its head. But the rabbit was still there, so I quickly recocked and loaded the rifle. But the rabbit had other ideas and quickly disappeared into the hedgerow. The last field I popped into is probably the biggest field down here, and the same as the other ones, it's just a mass of nettles, thistles and rushes. So honestly, rabbits could be hiding absolutely anywhere. So to make the best of any opportunity that I might get, I dropped the game bag off in the gateway and left it there. though I think I only got about 25 to 30 yards before spotting my first rabbit. So, not wanting to chance another freehand standing shot, I got down low and tried to use the clumps of thistles and nettles to get myself in closer for a much easier sitting down shot. With the rifle reloaded, I stood to my feet, only to spot another rabbit to my left hand side about 25 yards away. I couldn't see it when I was sitting down, so tried to redeem myself with another freehand standing shot. No, I can't redeem myself. Oh dear, I don't know how I missed that one. I used to be pretty good at those sort of shots, but looks like I'm going to have to put in a lot more practice again. And the rabbit I did shoot, oh goodness, I've shot bigger rats. It looked a lot bigger in the scope for some reason, but at least it's accounted for. Well folks, that's the end of that one. Hope you've enjoyed it. I know it was a long time coming. The HW97 looks well in its CS 500 custom stock, but it is a bit of a heavy beast. I've often thought of changing it to an HW95 tuned up. At least it would be nicer to carry about the place. Hopefully I'll get her out for a few more outings before the dark nights draw in. But until then, take care and look after yourselves, hey.